Welcome to Soul Vitamins. My name is Emilie Christenson, your host of Soul Vitamins, the talk show. And today I'm doing a series for Women's History Month where I bring amazing businesswomen that I admire and have personally inspired me. So today I'm joined by the amazing Sheila Powers and Emilie Christenson, and they're going to talk to you about their businesses, share their insight and their wisdom along their entrepreneurial journey. So thank you all so much for coming. Cheers!
Cheers!
Welcome to Soul Vitamins.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for being here.
You gotta take a drink.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Okay,
It's bad luck.
yeah,
It's
it
bad
is bad
luck.
luck.
I always forget that. Thank you all ladies again for coming. This is my first in-person interview, so it's really, really exciting for me. I'm at the Lobby Jacks in Jacksonville, Florida. So I want you all to give a little intro about your businesses of Ten Salon and Jaffi's, and then we'll jump into a little bit of questions I have for you all. So Sheila, I'll kick it off to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me and Emily. I own Ten Salon in Ponte Vedra Beach and Neptune Beach. We have 2 locations and we're just growing. I just absolutely love what I do, love my team, and love being an entrepreneur in that industry. It's fantastic.
That's
so
amazing.
good.
Yes, especially if you love your team, that's huge.
My team is everything. They're talented, professional. They make it all worthwhile.
Well, thank you, and I'm a huge fan of Ten Salon. As you know, it's my regular spot, so.
Well, I feel like Ten Salon was also like the first boutique salon in Jacksonville. I really do. Like, I can't remember a salon ever being like Ten Salon in my adult life anyway. So, I mean, she was really a pioneer back in the day, and it's great to see her still leading the way.
Thank you, Em. Thank you.
That's amazing. Like already tearing up. Okay, Emily, your intro.
Well, it's funny because I own Jaffi's Boutique, which has been around really for a very long time, since 2000. So Jaffi's was one of the first boutiques in Jacksonville too, and we were kind of starting out at around the same time, and being able to provide like really super personalized service and offer really interesting new and unique products to the community was something that we were really passionate about. Sheila in the hair space, me in the retail space. I actually started with a children's store. Jaffi's was not my first boutique, but I ended up acquiring Jaffi's when I was only open for like 8 months. So that's kind of how I got started in the women's world.
Yeah. And I think it's great that we both are in the similar industries where you make people feel good and feel beautiful. And I think that's what we both really wanted to accomplish, opening our businesses.
In the skin that you're in. We want to
Right,
help you
exactly.
make your strengths more visible and make your weaknesses irrelevant through fashion and style.
Yeah, that's so amazing, and I love that you started kind of in the children's space too, because I think it's very important to be able to pivot and to be able to change throughout your career. So many people think they have to set on one single path or when they first start out, and it's important to note that you really can take so many different turns and it all be kind of in the same realm. So that's amazing, and that you all kind of built your businesses together, so they have been.
I think we opened the same year.
We did.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2000, 2001.
20 years together and like building your empire. Yeah, so that.
I know.
I mean, five years. A second.
Exactly.
But you know what? It goes by fast, and I think
really does.
there is a misconception that if you're not like boom out of the box, a bajillionaire, super successful within the first couple years, then you're destined to fail. And I would argue it takes 10 years to figure out what the hell you're doing, and another 10 years to make it great. Doesn't seem unrealistic to me because we've lived it.
Right.
But if you told me that, I would be like, oh no, I'm out.
Right.
Not doing
Right.
that.
Right.
But when you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work. It's just constant improvement and constant working with people to try to figure out how you can better meet their needs, and it's fun.
Yes.
Yes. Kind of like there's like no overnight success.
No.
Like everyone's like, oh, you're doing, like your salon is amazing, or your boutique is amazing, and you're growing. And it's like, but I've been at this for 22 years.
Yeah.
And so I think that is something that people should kind of take into account, that it's not overnight. There's a lot of work and a lot of time put into it.
Yes.
And
a lot
you
of learning.
have to be willing to make mistakes and learn from them, because if you don't learn from them, you're going to keep making the same ones.
100%. Yes.
And if you learn from them, you might still be around after 20 years.
Yes, no, that's so true too with your point on success, because I think a lot of people get discouraged from pursuing different ventures or just taking the leap because they think success is this like huge following, this big empire right at first. You know, we all want instant gratification and we want everything to come so quickly, but success can come in so many different forms, one, and then on so many different timelines too. So I know for me, like with Soul Vitamins too, like I just started, right? So the following will come, and that's going to be something that's built with time. But to me, it's already successful because I've already impacted at least one person, like through giveaways, through interviews. I know that I've spread the word about some of my friends' products, and like that to me is like already successful because it's already impactful. So I really wanted to hear more about what you all define as success. So what does that look like for you? I can start with either of you.
Well, I was going to say that you feel like that because you're grateful, and you look at the world and with a grateful heart, I guess. And so that's very important. Oh my gosh. It's true though, right?
It's so important. It's the
so important.
most important thing is to thank your lucky stars every day for what you have, even if it's nothing. Thank your lucky stars that you have a day.
Right.
And that is the best way to start your day.
Yes. So I'm sorry to go back to your question.
Oh, yes. How do you all define success? It's so much wisdom. You guys are just pumping out all of this insight about it.
I know.
Well, it's not our first rodeo.
No.
What would you say?
For me, success is like, because I do have such a large team, I love seeing them grow personally, professionally, financially, like it all comes together. Work-life balance is so important, and I love that this new generation is coming in and saying that we don't have to do things the way we used to do. So, so for me, seeing them successful makes me feel successful, that they are growing like that.
Oh, I love you. So your team's success. I love that.
And she's always been like that. That's not new.
That's amazing.
That's how she rolls, which is why she has such a dedicated, loyal team. You know, you hear people now talking about the lack of assistance coming from the workforce, but I really don't think that you have that if you're a great place to work.
Right.
And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we just live in our bubble, but
no, you're right, and you're the same, and it's the same. Like, so many people lost employees and team members in 2020, and I don't think that you really struggled during that time.
We have a very small team
for bringing people in,
and it would be nice to have more help than we do, but at the same time, we're fine. You know, we're all hands on deck. Roll up your sleeves, do whatever it takes to get the job done, and that's part of the fun of all of it.
Right.
But I would say my definition of success is doing the best you can with what you have, because you may not always have what you think you need, but as long as you're doing your best, you're being successful. You have a successful mindset. You are going to maximize whatever it is that you are trying to maximize. And it's when you start not being grateful for what you have, and when you start focusing on what you don't have, that things can kind of move in the wrong direction. So I think just being okay with what is and moving forward from that is how best to be successful.
I totally agree.
Good.
Yes.
So good.
Yes, and your point too on work-life balance, that is so key, and it kind of took COVID and all of this remote life to bring about a lot of that change, because I know my industry, investment banking, that is not really prioritized. I mean, you start out working those 80, 100-hour weeks that took decades off my life. But so I think that that's really important too, because you can tell so much when you have a loyal workforce, people who are excited, they respect and love to work at that place. So that's really great. And doing the best with what you can, that is so key with what you have, and just operating with your level of best is so important. There's so much pressure that we put on ourselves and that the world puts on us. So just kind of operating your day with knowing that you are just putting all that you can into it is a very good way to define success. So thank you for that. So you all have 20-year journey, 20-year journey through your careers. I bet there was so many highs, so many lows, and I want to hear both of those, but let's start with the low points and how you overcame kind of your greatest challenge. And do you want to take this one first?
The low points. They're definitely there. I think that some of the low points are trying to figure out like who you are as a leader in your workspace. For me anyway, and developing other people into leaders as well. That's not a low point. I don't want to say that.
Right.
But
it's just hard.
It's very challenging. The processes that go with it, to where like after you've been doing it for a few years, that starts becoming easier. But at first, it's like, oh my gosh, we're growing here. How do we grow here? And all these processes, and sometimes that can just be like maddening because you're trying to fix all these different things. I don't know. I think that can definitely be challenging and make you not that you're feeling like you're doing such a great job, like you're not doing so well because you're struggling with these challenges, and really it's all part of the process though.
Right. I mean, no path could be just simple, straightforward, and luckily all those challenges, all those low points, every single time, if you view them as a growth opportunity and a way for you to learn something like that, that's the biggest key, I think, with those.
It's so true.
100%.
It's so true. To grow out of the low points or the challenges is key, instead of either just like staying there or I don't know.
I agree with the challenge aspect, because obviously this is a new realm for me with media, entertainment, and everything has been such a big learning process, like finding an editor, finding a team, and it has been very low lows. But the highs are when you celebrate those successes, it makes all of the lows worth it. And with the perspective that it's just, you have to go about like any new challenge, any entrepreneurial journey, that it's a new thing, and you have to, each thing that comes your way is just, you have to take it as a learning opportunity, or you're going to.
Yeah, you're just figuring it out.
Exactly.
And you can't feel bad because maybe you figured it out the wrong way, or maybe you said the wrong thing, or told someone, or brought someone on that didn't fit, and those can be low points.
Yes.
But to grow from them is the important thing.
Yes.
Okay, so I have a good friend and role model that I look up to a lot, Sarah Blakely, who founded Spanx, and she always talked about how at her dinner table with her family, her dad always asked, so what did you fail at today? Because failure is how you learn, and if you did everything perfectly in life, you wouldn't learn anything. And I always thought, that is so cool. Like, what a cool mindset to grow up with. I did not grow up with that mindset. So when I've made bad decisions and I've failed, I've felt terrible and beat myself up for a really long time. And then I figured it out. Okay, you learn, you grow, you change, you pivot, you do what you got to do. So thank you, Sarah, for making that okay.
Thanks, Sarah.
But I would say my low points revolve around two different things. Number one, making terrible financial decisions. And number two, falling prey to the grass is always greener syndrome. The grass is not always greener.
Yes.
You know, like, this would be great if it was here, and if it was there, and maybe if we were in this neighborhood, we would be 10 times more successful than we are in this neighborhood. Instead of really looking inside and seeing how can we do better at what we're doing, making the assumption that things would be better somewhere else, doing something else, which is not doing the best you can with what you have, which is what we talked about in the beginning with the whole success situation.
Yes.
And it took me a long time to figure that out. And I don't know that I have, but I'm better at it now than I was before. But I would say early on, the grass is always greener syndrome gets you. It's like you have a great concept, you have a cool business, and everybody's like, oh, why don't you open a store here? Oh, why don't you open a store there?
That sounds sexy.
Oh,
Let's
you should
do
do
that.
this. And it's like, okay, yeah. That sounds cool. We're a cool store at the beach. We should have a store in town. We should have a store here. We should have a store there. And you start to think about being away from where you are, and that's going to be so much better and so much more successful and so much more amazing. Well, if the concept isn't proven, and if you haven't gotten your systems wired, duplicating that risk is not helpful.
Right.
So we made that mistake early on and expanded too quickly, made some very bad financial decisions. Back in the day with the children's boutique that I was talking about, we had 3 locations. We had our own clothing line, which was adorable, by the way. Didn't manage it properly.
It was really cute.
But it was adorable. And none of that exists today because it wasn't really thought out. It wasn't planned out properly. It wasn't based on any logical information. It was just all about my ego and me wanting to be bigger and better just because I could. And I had to learn that lesson the hard way. And making decisions that make financial sense, I would say, is the second low point. Because if you make decisions just because you can, not because they make sense, it's going to work itself out in the wash.
Right.
And early on, because I was a corporate girl too, my background was in finance. I worked for Merrill Lynch. I sold a piece of property. I had all this cash when I first started, and I was like, sure, I'll buy that. Sure, I'll buy that. Oh, I'll take that. I'll take 10 of that. How about this too? And then, and I thought, well, if I have it, they're going to buy it. It doesn't work that way. You have to have what people need when they need it, and then they buy it. So, the 2 things I think are the easiest ways to lose your way are wanting to be a big shot and not making financial decisions based on factual information.
Wow. I mean, that is insane advice because every person I've talked to who's just starting out has talked about some sort of big financial loss, like just because it goes back to the figuring it out aspect. We're still all going through this, like it's all new for a lot of people, so figuring out the finances is such a critical point. So thank you for sharing that, because I need to keep that in mind also. I'm in the same boat where I want to expand too, especially when you're so excited and you're just starting out as a creative or an entrepreneur. But to be thoughtful in decisions and really make sure things are strategic and not operating from that ego, like you mentioned, is very key.
Well, and I think there's a difference between, and this is something that I don't have the answer to. If anybody has the answer, please comment. And let us know. I've gotten to the point where I really love my business. I love what I do. I go to work every day and I have so much fun, and I love the girls that I work with, and I love the customers that we serve, and it's amazing. I have 0 interest in expanding. Could I? Probably. Would someone else do really good with our concept in another part of the country or world? Probably. Do I have any interest whatsoever in doing that? No. So scaling and becoming ginormous may not be right for you. It's not right for me. It may be right for you. I mean, Sheila...
It goes back to the work-life balance, I think. And also and back then too, you were younger, and
ego,
Yes.
which we all have. And but I think that's why it's important. As in now, I have a coach, a business consultant that's been in my industry for years, longer than I have, and he's so intelligent and smart. But he helps me navigate all that, and I think that.
So nice.
Going forward, I feel like so many people are so open now to sharing their struggles, to sharing the past and things that they've gone through. So I do think that younger people new to any industry should like schedule a lunch with someone that's been there, someone they can talk to, someone they can ask.
Yes.
We didn't have that back in the day. But today, I feel like there are so many consultants and
Find a mentor.
friends and
Yes.
find a mentor.
Someone you
exactly.
look up to, DM them,
Yes,
reach out to
yes,
them. It's
yes.
so
Yes.
easy to get great advice from
Mm-hmm.
people. But to
like,
finish
we
my
didn't
whole
have that,
point
yeah.
about scaling, it's not right for everybody, you know? And there's nothing wrong with being happy with what you have. Like, I am 100% happy with what I have. I have zero interest in expanding. I have zero interest in owning the world. I enjoy helping my customers and helping my daughter with her business, Carly, who you know.
Yes.
And I don't want more than that. Like, I'm good. There has to be something said about being content with where you are.
Right.
Because I don't think that they teach you that in business school. It's all about packaging
don't.
what you have and multiplying it.
Yes.
But
Right.
what's wrong with just living a great life and being happy with it?
Right.
And I think I learned that through COVID. That was probably the most fun I've had in 22 years. I reconnected with our customers more in that time than I've been connected to them in 20 years. Because we were having like one-on-one conversations and there was no noise and there was no distraction. If someone needed help, we were there for them. And it was such a special like experience with no noise and no background and no pressure.
You found
It
your
was-
true calling.
It was authentic, yeah. And I think it's okay to not want to rule the world.
And just listening to your inner voice and being able to recognize that you don't need to have this level of success that other people
Right.
deem.
And there's
Not to
nothing wrong
measure.
with that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, there's
Right.
nothing wrong with that.
And if you do want to rule the world, find a mentor.
Yes.
Find someone to help you that
can
has
help
done it.
you
Yeah, so you don't
navigate
make stupid
through,
mistakes.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or that can check your ego, check your, why do you really want to do this?
And make sure
Is
the
it for
decisions,
Yes.
what reason?
Yeah.
Right,
The
right.
pros and cons, right?
Make sure the decisions you're making are based on like logical, sound thinking,
Yeah.
and not just your ego. I
So
wish I had
good.
that back in the day.
Me too.
Well, luckily you're
I'm happy I'm
informing
still
all of
married.
us. Yeah. Knock on wood.
Thank goodness for very tolerant husbands.
Oh, yeah, to have two just really strong core relationships around you, family, friends, like that also helps you so much through this
So important.
journey. So, what do you all think is your biggest piece of advice for other women entrepreneurs out there who are maybe just starting out or who are developing their business and need some insight and some wisdom along the way?
Well, I think, I don't know, I've already said it, I think, is find a coach, find a mentor, find someone that you can pick their brain, ask them questions, and learn from our mistakes, basically.
Well,
or successes too.
and to layer on top of that, just be yourself. Don't
Yes.
worry about what other people are doing. Don't worry about what other people are saying or thinking or being.
Or the social media
Like you do, like
thing,
I tell the girls.
let's get real.
I tell the
Right,
girls all
right.
the time, you do you, boo. Just do you.
It's my
Because
favorite thing.
you are uniquely yourself.
Yes.
And that's what's going to resonate with the rest of the world. You, your content, your concept, your idea. And sometimes you'll be able to find a coach, and sometimes you're going to have to be your own coach. But I think the important thing is to just be at peace with the decisions that you're making because they are your vision, your mission. They're on the path that you have in your brain. And if you're really a trailblazer, you're not going to find anybody who has any experience in that area.
Exactly.
Yes.
So you have to
Exactly.
trust your gut,
Yep.
within reason,
Right.
making financial decisions that make sense. Not
But then
mortgaging
again,
your
you have to
house.
make your own mistakes too.
Right.
I
You
mean,
do.
you
You do. You do.
You do.
But yeah, be yourself because that's the key is being authentically who you are. You can't be anybody else.
Yeah, that is great advice.
Such
Be
great
yourself,
advice.
yes, and believe in yourself. Believe that this is going to happen. Like we were saying earlier, like manifesting it, having it, a vision board, knowing that, just knowing it's going to happen.
Right.
Like, you're good.
Because
you're
it
okay.
will.
Because it will.
Yes. I know that. I think those are my kind of biggest takeaways from this conversation with you all is authenticity is like your greatest asset. Because it
100%.
sounds so simple, but with each person being so uniquely themselves and individual, like you actually you're not competing against anyone because you as yourself.
Right. No.
So that's amazing. And also celebrating the failures, I think is super important because a lot of people put this negative connotation around failures, and like that Sarah Blakely story, that celebrating it and kind of focusing on the growth aspect versus what was so wrong or beating yourself up over it. That is, I've never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
That's,
it's so good.
that's an Oprah aha moment.
Yes.
100%.
Yes. And I've started sharing that with my boys. What did you fail at today? And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, but because we're so conditioned to say, like, how was your day? What was great about your day? But what was not great about your day?
Yeah, and
like,
what did you learn from it?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you all so much for all of the wisdom. I love to conclude each of my episodes with one final question, which is, what is your soul vitamin? What fuels you? What drives you? What are you passionate about? And what inspires you?
Aww.
That's such a great name.
Thank
I
you.
know, it really
That's
is.
the
It's so
soul
good.
vitamins.
That, like, I think names of businesses are so important, and they should say what they are. And your name says what it is, and I love it.
Thank you
So good.
so much. Thank you.
It's the best.
That honestly means so much. I've teared up multiple times today.
I think my soul vitamin it's my family, my husband and my boys. They are my world, my heart. And that's where I really, truly begin before I go out back into the world and, so definitely them.
Beautiful.
I have to
Family is so important. And
Yeah.
especially my family's been so supportive on like this venture and my whole path of leaving corporate America, and I think like that has been a big soul vitamin for me too, to just have like strong family support.
Yeah, that family time, like it's so important.
Yes.
100%.
And that support.
I couldn't agree more. 100%.
Emily?
Definitely my family. But in addition to that, I would just say people. I just love people. I love helping people. I love being around people. I love interacting with people. The good, the bad, the ugly. I feel like you can learn something from everyone, even if it's what not to do.
Yes.
And that kind of just keeps me going every day. I just love that.
Feeding on that energy.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's people, helping people.
I think you can learn so much from talking to people. That's been my greatest learning experience these past couple years, being remote and just traveling and meeting a bunch of different people, especially this creative community in Jacksonville, because you can learn so much from talking to different people. So that's been my favorite part about this show and meeting all of these amazing entrepreneurs. So thank you all so much for being on the show. I loved having you today. It was so great. You were my super special guest. That were my first in-person kind of studio setting. So I was so lucky to have you. You provided so much amazing advice, so much wisdom that I think is going to help so many people out there. So thank you.
Thank you for having us.
What an honor to be here.
Thank you.
And congratulations on your
Thank you
first
so much.
in-person episode.
Thank you. Thank you. Survived it.
So people are your soul
so good.
vitamin too.
Yes,
Yeah.
they really are. Soul vitamins
It's
is
true.
my soul vitamin. Well,
Love
thank
it.
you all so much for watching this segment of Soul Vitamins, the talk show. I'm your host, Sonali Karunaratne. And if you love hearing stories of other creatives and entrepreneurs, then please tune in to the rest of the episodes this season on the Soul Vitamins YouTube channel. And be sure to follow Soul Vitamins _ on Instagram for more info and updates on season 1. Thank you.